If you are a parent who has ADHD, or you suspect you may have ADHD, or your partner has ADHD, on this podcast episode, I'm going to share with you my journey as a parent who has ADHD. By the way, I have autism as well and ADHD, and I'm going to focus on the ADHD side of how I experience motherhood. I'm not just a parenting coach. I have twins. I'm a twin mama, and I've been raising kids for a long, long time. Even before the twins, I did foster care for 9 years, and I raised children with ADHD as well. So I'm going to share with you how I made it work, considering that I apply parenting with understanding. I'm a gentle parenting advocate. How did I do it despite my needs, despite the things that I may be experiencing having ADHD, like lack of attention, like overwhelm, sensory overload? If you are wondering, Marcela, how do I make this gentle parenting work having ADHD? This podcast episode is for you. First of all, if you are diagnosed with ADHD or you suspect that you have ADHD, could you please let me know in the comments if you are watching this podcast episode from our YouTube channel? I want to get to know you a little bit more. And I want to give you a little disclaimer before we start. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a therapist. I'm a parenting coach and I'm a mom. So I'm going to share with you my personal experience, how I live parenting with ADHD the same way as how my coaching clients live parenting with ADHD. So ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorder that comes with lack of attention, sometimes hyperactivity, sometimes impulsivity. In my case, is a more ADHD, lack of attention kind of ADHD. I don't have the impulsivity as much. Some impulsivity, the doctor said, but not as much. And definitely, I don't have hyperactivity. But I have coached parents who experience hyperactivity parenting with ADHD. So the first thing is ADHD comes with a lot of needs. And it does come with a lot of superpowers that I've seen. I'm able to relate a lot to my kids, especially the ones who have my same needs. I'm able to empathize with their sensory overload at Disneyland. I'm able to empathize when they don't finish a task, when they don't complete an instruction, when they forget a step of a sequence instruction, because I deal with the same old thing. I forget things. I miss steps of sequence instructions I have to follow. Sometimes I leave tasks undone, and all because of my ADHD. So it actually helps me keep it real with my kids and be more patient and empathize with them a lot more, just because I'm in it with them. I live it with them. For me, it's not like he's too old for this or he should know better. For me, nobody should know better because I don't know better. ADHD, that's my superpower. Now, when it comes to the needs, it does come with needs. In my case, it's the lack of attention side of ADHD. So yes, again, I miss tasks. Some things are left undone, or I forget things. I forget steps. One day we were in the garage. I put my twins in the car. I went in the car and I started backing up and I hit the garage door because I missed that step. I missed the step of just open the garage and then you can back up. I know that, but in my ADHD brain, it missed the step and I hit the garage door, not too hard. Nobody was harmed, but that's the kind of thing that I do living with ADHD, missing steps or leaving things undone. I remember when my twins, when they were younger, when they were in diapers, they're twins, so they look alike. They're the same size, the same diaper size as well. And if I started changing one of them, there was always something happened with the other one. I don't know why, but every time that I was focused on finishing something with one of them, the other one needed me in some kind of way, or they got into something. So I remember changing one of their diapers and something happens. I went to attend to my other son that was about to climb on the counter and pushing the back of the dishwasher, whatever. And then I would forget. I used to forget that I was changing a diaper. And 5 minutes later, my other son would come in with the diaper in the hand. I'm like, oh, yes, yeah, I was changing your diaper. Yes. And now I remember. I asked my husband the other day, did that ever happen to you? That you started changing one of the twins' diapers, something happened, and you didn't go back to it, at least on time? And then he said, no, 2 kids, 2 diapers. No, easy to remember. I had to go back to it. I'm like, you're neurotypical. I understand. And that's very fascinating to me that you will remember to go back. And that's one of the things that I had to, number one, accept about me. And number two, learn to develop systems to support me. So in the very beginning, when the twins were very young, I was figuring it out. And I didn't have all the support systems that I have now that they're 7 to help me out parenting them the best way I can. So now I have reminders about everything. I have reminders on my microwave door about giving them their after school snack. I have reminders about closing the garage door when we come from school. I have reminders about setting up their toothbrushes at night. I have reminders all over my house. My house is a sticky note castle because I have sticky notes everywhere. And that was the system that I found to be able to remember tasks. So I'm able to take care of my twins' needs. So that's about remembering tasks. That's about not completing tasks. Another thing is sensory overwhelm. Because if I know that I'm in charge of them, 2 beautiful human beings that I need to raise in excellence, then there is this little mistrust of myself of like, Marcela, I know you're going to forget. It's kind of like this, I would say, not trusting myself in many occasions of, oh, I need an extra reminder, otherwise I will forget. And I don't forget. It's just my lack of trust of myself. Or I need to let my husband handle this, for example, fill out some kind of paperwork for their pediatrician because I will forget. And I probably would not forget if I have to do it. If I were a single mom, I'm sure I would have crossed all my T's and dot all my I's with the right support system around me, with the right systems. So that's one word that I have for you. If you have ADHD and you may feeling inadequate, you may feeling, I wonder if I have what it takes to parent these kids having ADHD. If you may feeling, I don't even trust myself. I feel embarrassed in front of other parents who seem like they have it all together. That's them. You are a great parent. I'm a great parent as well. And ADHD is not an impairment for you to take care of those beautiful children that you have. And if you want to find the proof of that, look at them. Look at them right now. They're fed, they're healthy, they're playing, they're good. They're amazing. And all because of you. You are raising them. So give yourself a lot more credit if you have that fear, if you have that sense of guilt and shame and belief of inadequacy. You are meant to be their parent. So there is another side of ADHD that I don't live, but I work with my coaching clients in HIC parenting, the ones who are diagnosed with ADHD and they deal and they struggle with impulsivity. So impulsivity is, from what they tell me, Marcela, I know the exact response. I know how to respond to my kids. but the yell comes out of me out of nowhere, or my hand just hits their butt and I don't want to spank them anymore. And it's just an impulse that I cannot control. If that is you, and again, you are beating yourself up, I wonder if I'm a bad parent, you're not. This could be a sign of ADHD. And if you are not diagnosed and you're wondering if you have it, don't take my word for it. Consult with your doctor. They are the professionals to diagnose and evaluate ADHD. But if you are diagnosed with it and you're like, I wonder if this trait of me having ADHD is ruining my parenting, I want to tell you that you are a whole parent. You are whole and complete, and you're amazing. It's just a matter of gaining emotional intelligence tools. And that's something that I work in coaching with our coaching clients in HIC parenting education. For example, Arnel, he is a father of multiples and he has ADHD diagnosed. And his ADHD comes with hyperactivity. From his words, he says that he was a wild child. And then he used to deal with yelling and with impulsive reactions. After going through our coaching process, which is 6 months in HIC parenting, and having personalized guidance from our entire team of coaches, then he was able to gain the tools that he needed to stop the yell, to stop himself from getting to that point of dysregulation and escalation of being so upset that he can't even control himself, to catch it early and being able to take care of his body and his needs and his trigger before ADHD impulsivity takes over. It is possible with the right tools, with the right guidance. It is completely possible. And I want to share with you his story here in HIC. He allowed me to share his story, and this is his testimonial.
I grew up in traditional parenting, especially Asian parenting, where, the kind of like they perfected the sign of disapproval, always yelling, don't do this, don't do that. You're supposed to be perfect. For me, I was like a wild child. So I had ADHD untreated since dental school. I just found out recently. So I just recently got, just about 3 years ago, just got treated after dental school. The self process was the one that I got to, and I noticed a change in me right like the first 3 weeks. I didn't yell as much.
Number 3, so we already talked about that ADHD is a superpower as well. We already talked about the impulsivity side of ADHD, that is about gaining emotional intelligence tools to help us in the moment. Now let's talk about a little bit more. Let's expand on some of these tools that, by the way, they change from client to client depending on what calms their nervous system down. But I'm going to talk about my own experience. For me, it is mindfulness. Mindfulness of my physical and emotional needs. Because even though I don't deal with hyperactivity or reactivity, I do get triggered from time to time, not as often as before, for sure, but I still do get triggered. And it's the mindfulness of what is really triggering me. Is it my child's tantrum right now? Or is it the really hard conversation that I had with one of my employees 2 hours ago? I'm already stressed out from that. And then my child's tantrum is re-triggering how upset I felt when I was talking to my employee 2 hours ago. So just to give you an example that when we are mindful and we are able to reflect on our own behavior and the why of our behavior, we are able to see a lot farther and more clear than if we're just focused on what's happening right now with the tantrum, with the defiance, with the yelling, with the behavior that our children are displaying. Why is this helping me? Because if I have things in context, this is not so much about my child having a hard time accepting no for an answer. It's about the stress that I felt and I'm carrying from that conversation with that employee earlier today. Then when I'm interacting with my son, the energy is different because my focus and my understanding of what's triggering me is helping me see things clearly. That's what helps me personally. Mindfulness of my needs, mindfulness of the why beneath my triggers. Mindfulness has allowed me to parent my children with understanding a lot easier and better than when I did not have that. Now, my question for you is, what is your superpower having ADHD? Maybe you've never thought about it. You've always seen it from the negative side, from all the needs that you have. If this is the first time, I want to say congratulations, because you're starting to see you as a whole human being. You start to see you worthy human being. If you grew up diagnosed or undiagnosed, you grew up with a lot of stories of not good enough, not measuring up, too annoying, too this, too that, because people place that in you. So now that you're looking at it from the lens of you have a superpower, if you are on YouTube, could you please let me know in the comments, what is your ADHD superpower? Let me know in the comments. If you want to access the show notes of this podcast episode, all you have to do is go to hicparenting.com, and then it is there, hicparenting.com. And I want to remind you that it only takes understanding of yourself and of your children's needs to transform your parenting. That's parenting with understanding. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.